Or have you come around to the side of it?
Okay. Okay. Sure. Yeah. Alrighty. Right here. That'll be all those who are going to be done, sure. We'll have to take his advice.
So Mr. Riffle, this is Howard Brown. He's our hearing officer for this administrator here.
Good morning, Mr. and Mrs. Riffle.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You can hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Before we get started with the formal hearing, just a couple of real preliminary matters. So I'm a lawyer. I live and work here in Flagstaff, and I serve as Coconino County's hearing officer on these types of zoning and community development related matters. So the purpose of today's hearing is just so that I can hear your side of the story, and I can hear Mr. Stento's side of the story, and I can review some evidence and make a determination of what's going on and what needs to be done. Okay.
Okay.
I understand that you've got some people with you today. They're outside the hearing room right now. Were they just here to listen in, or what was their role today?
I have no idea. Well, my family, my daughter and a friend of ours is just here just because. And the other people are the people that's on. I don't know this to be here or whatever that's supposed to come. I have no idea.
Okay. So some people, our family members, are here for moral support, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So
My
anyone who wants to listen in on the hearing can certainly come on in. So if you want to invite them in, they can sit. They'll sit in those chairs behind you, and they'll just sit silently.
No, it's fine.
Okay. What about your family members? Do you want them in here for
No,
support?
No, they're fine. No, that doesn't need to be.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mike.
Okay, they can wait. Okay. Well, with that, are you both ready to proceed?
Yes.
I believe so.
Okay.
Let them know we're going to go ahead and proceed with the hearing, and we'll update them after the hearing at that point. Are we under anything a law obligation to allow them to attend?
I thought it's a public.
Yeah, I think we are under obligation to allow them to attend and not say anything. So we're going to go ahead and let them.
Absolutely.
Okay.
If they want to be in there, they certainly can, and they can come in, and then I'll just talk to them a little bit about coming in.
No, other than that, they're just here. Took you.
Sure.
We're going to go ahead and bring them in then. And I sent you, this is the most updated copy of those exhibits as well. So if we refer to exhibits in here, you will see them in this book in chronological order.
Okay, we just.
Okay, perfect. Those are the updated ones that we have stuff that we took on yesterday as well. In our exhibit 7 series in there as well.
Oh, so I'll wait with that. They want to come in. So make your family money. Maybe I'm trying to see all in that.
Anyone else making their way in?
Is that everyone? That's everyone. You get the door closed, please. Yeah, I think we're ready to begin now.
Okay, before we begin, just for the people who just came into the hearing room, my name is Howard Brown. I'm a lawyer. I live and work here in Flagstaff, and I serve as Coconino County's hearing officer for these types of zoning and community development issues. And so the hearing today is set up so that I can hear the county's side of the story, the Riffles side of the story, and so that I can review some evidence and make a decision as to what is going on and what should occur. You're more than welcome to be here this morning. I welcome your attendance so that you can see and hear some of the workings of your county government. I ask that you Just remain quiet throughout the hearing so that I can fully understand all of the evidence that's being presented to me, okay? But thank you for being here and welcome. Welcome. With that, we'll go ahead and get started. I believe we are on the record. We're recording the hearing today. Today is February 4th, 2025. The time is 10:06 a.m. This is the zoning violation hearing on zoning violation citation PZC 240018, County of Coconino versus Riffle. It's taking place by Zoom and in person at Thomas Auditorium, Department of Community Development. And the hearing is being held pursuant to Coconino County Zoning Ordinance 5.14. I have received the county's exhibits 1 through 6 with subparts. I'm not in receipt of a witness list, so therefore I assume that only the zoning inspector, Mark Stento, will be testifying for the county. I'm not in receipt of any exhibits or witness lists for the Riffles, and so therefore I will allow the Riffles themselves to testify, but no one else. Also, I have not received a admission of responsibility or denial of responsibility from the Riffles, so I'll want to hear a little bit more about that. Okay, so that's background information. Is everyone prepared to proceed?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Stento, would you like to make an opening statement of a few minutes?
I would, yes.
Okay, so Mr. and Mrs. Riffle, this is Mr. Stento's opportunity just to kind of give me some background about the case. What he is saying is not evidence, though, okay? I don't consider what he says right now to be evidence. He won't provide evidence until I swear him in, and then he explains to me his evidence. You will have the same opportunity to give me a little bit of an opening statement, just to give me background, but which isn't actually your evidence, okay? And I'll help you with that. I'll help you with that when it's your turn, okay? Mr. Stento, go ahead with your opening.
Certainly. Before that, Mr. Brown, I would like to request that exhibits 1 through 6 be admitted into evidence. Prior to my testimony, these exhibits have been sent to the Riffles, of course, unless they object. These have been sent to the Riffles prior to the hearing. They are in receipt of them. They have seen them. It will save me a little bit of time during my testimony if those exhibits are admitted evidence ahead of time, again, pending approval from the Riffles.
Mr. and Mrs. Riffle, have you had a chance to look at all of those documents that are in the binder in front of you?
Also, at least.
1 through 6.
Yes.
So, yeah. Yes, yeah.
Is there anything about them that you don't think is accurate or misportrays things, or any reason why you might have to not want me to look at those documents?
No reason, no.
They look authentic to you. You may disagree with what they say, but they look authentic to you, and you've seen them?
Yes.
Yes.
It is.
Okay, then I'm going to admit all of those documents, which means I get to look at them and consider them as evidence. I may disagree with them, but at least I get to look at them and consider them, okay?
Okay.
Okay, so exhibits 1 through 6 with subparts are admitted into the record. Okay, go ahead, Mr. Stento.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. I would like to bring to the attention of the hearing officer case BZC 240018 for the property address 867 West Canyon Road, parcel 20636-010J Juliet, located within Coconino County and zoned as both agricultural residential and CG10 commercial general. The lot size is 1.22 acres. The parcel location, size, and owner is shown in Coconino County GIS or depicted in County Exhibit 1A. The property is owned by John and Beverly Riffle. The Riffles property consists of mixed-use zoning allowing for commercial use on a small portion of the parcel and residential use on the rest. Note we are providing this just for general background on the land use out there at the location. The residential portion is zoned single family. Based on the zoning of the residential part of 867 West Canyon, a recreational vehicle can be occupied transiently, temporarily for 4 months of the year with a temporary use permit or permanently with a conditional use permit. The latter requires an extensive process and is subject to a hearing before approval. Permanent structure can be occupied only if it is subject to a single-family dwelling building permit and thus meets the county's adopted standards for health and safety. No such permits have been issued to 867 West Canyon Road, yet the county has documented continued occupancy, allegedly by tenants of the Riffles, of at least one shed and one recreational vehicle on the property for almost a year. This presents health and safety concerns, as does the trash and undocumented waste disposal methods alleged on the property. Moreover, the county has documented an increasing amount of rubbish, household items, and at least one unregistered vehicle on the property over the last several months. The verified condition of the property indicates not just a failure to abate the violations initially identified to both the tenants and the owners, but a notable worsening of the situation requiring prompt action by the county. This concludes the county's opening statement.
Okay, so just so I heard you right, it's AR and it's CG10
That's correct. It's a split zone parcel.
and it's 1.22 acres.
That is correct.
The residential portion of it is single family.
That's correct.
And so an RV can be located on there for 4 months at a time.
With a temporary use permit and meeting certain conditions of the county, such as lawful waste disposal.
Was there a second type of permit that would have been allowed?
Conditional use permit, which requires a hearing. And is there a more extensive permitting process that can potentially allow permanent RV occupancy on a vacant agricultural residential parcel. The standards to achieve that are significantly higher than the temporary use.
So the temporary use permit, a little bit easier to get, could have also done a CUP.
The temporary use permit is really intended as a camping permit, to clarify, for 4 months out of the year for folks who own vacant land in Coconino County that's zoned appropriately that wish to come up and, for example, stay over the summer.
Okay.
So it's geared more toward that type of use.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Stento. Mr. and Mrs. Riffle, so Mr. Stento was just giving me sort of background information about the piece of land, and that's consistent with what I see in the assessor's information as well. So now it's he'll have an opportunity to go into more of the evidence, like the documents that are in that 3-ring binder. But at this point, it's your turn if you want to give me just a brief 2 or 3 minute opening statement, just to kind of tell me some background. It's not your evidence yet, but just some background if you'd like to.
So first of all, the zoning I have, and the zoning I've been paying on, and when I sold it, I thought it was residential. And how I got commercial, I have no idea. I was just informed by the county, 3 weeks ago or something like that, that they don't know how it happened. I got the commercial residential and they're telling me, well, you sold me that, I couldn't live on it because it's commercial. And I said, but I sold this land to you. I'm carrying the paperwork on it. It was residential. And that's what my paperwork is here, since residential on it. So I don't know how much what the R2 gave, I mean, with the commercial gave, and I tried to work with these people for like 2 years. I've been every time I go to have to go down the ramp, I'm carrying the papers on it. And I have to go down the ramp and just, I gave him a break. I was gonna have a little different place, and my son decided he's gonna take it. And so I said, I'll tell you what, I know you gotta get all this stuff done. It'll be 4 months for your man to get permits and stuff like that. But they have to pay month, they didn't pay me for 4 months. I let that go. So they could use that money to do that with.
August, September, October, November.
August, September, October, November. So basically, I said, well, I don't know what to do. I tried to help them and said that didn't I can't.
What is Marty still in the room?
I am.
Is there a microphone that we can put closer to the riffles?
I don't think it's that way.
I think we'll just have to speak out, Howard.
Okay. Yeah, Mr. and Mrs. Riffle, just speak up a little bit because it's a little bit hard to hear. What is that piece of paper that you were holding in your hand?
This is just for my tax record. Okay. So the assessor's tax, it says it's not ready, it's got spent, As you can tell.
Property trust.
Property costs.
Yeah, so this is an evaluation by the assessor's office, of the property. And to be clear, Mr. Brown, while I can certainly understand the, confusion, since this is a mixed zone property that is unusual. As we've discussed, that doesn't really have bearing on the alleged violations on the
Yeah.
property. It is, it is an unusual situation with the mixed zoning, and we can certainly put Mr. Riffle in touch with folks who might be able to clarify why that's the case after the hearing.
Yeah, that would be great. But well, I was going to ask. So let's just say it was residential. Would the same violations would the same actions have been considered violations?
Yes.
Yes, to an even greater extent, because there wouldn't be
Yeah.
the permissible occupancy of an RV under either of those permit types in a CG10.
Gotcha. Okay. Hold on one second. Okay. Yeah, it is a little bit unusual because of that mixed use. So I hear you, Mr. Riffle. And Mr. Stento's offered to put you in touch with the right people after the hearing to kind of get some clarity on that, so that you might take them up on that.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
okay. Okay, thank you both for your opening statement. So now it's the time where I actually hear testimony and look at the evidence. So, Mr. Stento, you will go first. Will you please raise your right hand? Do you swear that the testimony that you are giving in today's hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please go right ahead.
On April 1st, 2024, Coconino County Code Enforcement received a phone call from a concerned citizen alleging a family was living in an unpermitted structure, dumping wastewater into a hole and improperly disposing of rubbish on the parcel noted in the citation in this hearing. On 2 April 2024, Coconino County Code Enforcement Officer John Cole performed an initial inspection. John noted a shed and camp trailer that appeared occupied and spoke with the tenants and an individual alleged to be soon to be new owner of the parcel per her own statements, and explained the violations, which consisted of secondhand materials and refuse on the property and unlawful occupancy of an RV. The initial site visit is documented in exhibits 1B, 1C, and 1D. On 18 April 2024, a formal notice of violation was issued via certified mail to the Riffles, as well as the then and current owners of the property. This is reflected in Exhibit 1. A signed certified mail receipt was returned to the county on 8 May 2024. A 14 May 2024 follow-up visit by Cole noted an additional shed had been added to the property and not much change had occurred otherwise. No permits had been initiated and the property showed no signs of cleanup. Site visit on 30 May 2024 documented much the same, no substantive changes towards compliance. That site visit was documented in exhibits 2A and 2B. On 4 June 2024, a final notice of violation was issued as a courtesy. This is shown in exhibit 2. The certified mail receipt was not returned to the county for several months, but appeared to be signed on 5 June 2024 by the Riffles. Site visits over the following several months in 2024 documented removal of a camp trailer, though sheds on the property still appeared occupied as depicted in exhibit 3A. By September 10, 2024, a new RV appeared on the property, shown in exhibit 3B. Meanwhile, the condition of the property began to deteriorate again. Additional inspections in October 2024 and November 2024 showed continual degradation of conditions, with possibly new individuals noted in at least one of the sheds. The RV also appeared occupied. A final inspection to check for substantive progress prior to citation occurred on 18 December 2024 by me. During that site visit, documents in exhibits 3C, 3D, 3E, documented rather in exhibits 3C, 3D, 3E, and 3F. I noted one inoperable vehicle, unregistered vehicle, trash, household items, appliances, and obvious occupancy of a recreational vehicle in violation of the county zoning ordinance. This site visit is reflected again in exhibits 3C, 3D, 3E, 3F.
Mr. Stento,
due to-
was that December 17 or December 18?
That was December 18th, sir.
Okay.
Did I mislabel those exhibits?
It says 17 December 24.
Okay.
Okay, so go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Sorry about that.
Oh, certainly. That's an error on my end. Due to the worsening situation, it has observed a citation notice to appear and a mission or denial of responsibility issued to the property on 24 December 2024. These documents were personally served on the alleged defendant Elizabeth by Code Enforcement Officer John Cole on 7 January 2025. Was sent to the Riffles by certified mail and signed for on 10 January 2025. A completed admission or denial of responsibility was not returned to the county. This is reflected in exhibits 3, 4, and 5. Since service, the Code Enforcement Division of Coconino County has had numerous conversations with both Mr. Riffle and the tenants of the property, in which we've explained the violation, proceedings, and path forward to compliance. County's diligence in attempting to achieve compliance on this property is documented in case notes shown in Exhibit 6. An inspection on 3 February 2025 by Code Enforcement Officer Cole noted minor improvement but no abatement of the violations alleged in Exhibit 3. Mr. Brown, these exhibits have not been included in our initial exhibit packet because they are so fresh. I can share my screen and show both you and the Riffles prior to requesting them being admitted into evidence, if that's acceptable.
Please do.
Sir. Okay. This picture was taken yesterday, February 3rd, by John Cole during the day. This is of course the address parcel in discussion today. And we can see we still have significant impacts on the property. It does appear there was some effort to clean up, judging by the trash bags on the trampoline, and we acknowledge that. But it is insubstantial within the scope of the violations alleged in the county citation. I request exhibits 7. A, B, C, and D be admitted into evidence if the Riffles don't object.
No objection.
They are admitted, no objection. So, Mr. Stento, would you please email those to me and the Riffles after the hearing?
Absolutely.
When you were out there yesterday, is the RV still there?
Yes.
Is that in any of those pictures, 7A through 7D?
Yes, 7A.
Would you bring that back up?
Yes.
Okay. That appears to be the same RV that's shown, for example, in 3F.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Anything further, Mr. Stento?
No, that concludes the county's testimony.
Okay. Mr. and Mrs. Riffle, you have a chance to ask Mr. Stento questions about anything that he just said. On TV, they would call that cross-examination. You can ask him questions. Do you have any questions for him about what he just said?
No, we sure don't.
Okay. Mr. Stento, let me ask you a couple questions.
Sure.
So, did I hear you correctly that the admission and denial form was not returned?
That's correct.
Okay. How do you know that the vehicles were inoperable and that the RV is occupied? What's your evidence on those 2 points?
The vehicle lacked current tags, which is the definition of an unregistered vehicle. The RV is based on the totality of the circumstances. It showed clear signs of occupancy out there. I can review specific items leading to that conclusion amongst the existing exhibits. But it showed clear traffic to and from the recreational vehicle. I'm trying to pull up photos here, Mr. Brown, and see if I can point to some specifics. It appeared to be heated. Again, the totality of the circumstances suggested that it was one of the few occupied structures on the property.
With the vehicles, you're relying on them being unregistered, is that right? As opposed to
That's
inoperable?
Correct.
Okay. Did you see any people coming to and from the RVs?
No, we did document people coming to and from one of the sheds on the property, but of course that wasn't the question, it was the RVs. So we have not documented through photos or video people coming to or from the RV.
Okay. One other question for you. Let's see. So when you moved from you got the notice of violation, the final notice, and then the actual citation. The unpermitted structure is not part of the final citation. Is that correct?
That's correct. When we initiated the case, we didn't have sufficient evidence to really press the matter. During follow-up inspections, we did document folks coming to and from one of the sheds and a change in one of the conditions of one of the sheds that appeared to indicate occupancy, again, based on the totality of the circumstances. But in this particular case, we did have at least a person associated with coming and going from one of those structures. But we had started that after the fact. The county's principal concern on the property, as a general rule, we're willing to work with people, to be very clear, but is the health and safety issues, the trash, et cetera. So we weren't trying to throw the book at the respondents. We were trying to get them legal, which was basically to get the property cleaned up. If applicable, get a temporary or permanent tag for the RV, deal with any health or safety issues. Because the building case was noted after the fact, we didn't pile it on to the existing violations. I did note it in my testimony to make the Riffles aware of the matter, and we have noted it in our conversations with them, but it's not something we are pursuing citation.
Okay. And if I do find that there are violations, what remedy are you seeking?
I can certainly give you our full relief statement. So I've included that in my closing statement. However, can I just move forward with my closing statement?
I'll give you time to do a separate closing if you want. Just go ahead and give me what
Sure.
the relief is that you're asking for.
Absolutely. So we are not looking for any penalties today. If the conditions acknowledged in the citation are not abated fully within 30 days of the hearing date, the county is requesting a fine of $1,200 deconstructed as follows: $20 per day for unlawful use of a recreational vehicle as a dwelling or accessory structure. And for the 30 days that would pass between February 4th today and the compliance deadline March 6th, $20 per day for unlawful outdoor storage of secondhand materials, refuse, and/or unregistered vehicles. And for each day of non-compliance after the proposed 30-day compliance period, an additional $20 per violation per day is outlined above. But again, we wish to waive any fees today. And we would request a recall hearing for 10 a.m. on 6 March.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Stento.
Certainly.
And Mr. Stento, would you email me what you're seeking along with
Sure.
the Exhibit 7 documents, and you copy the Riffles on that as well if they have an email?
Absolutely.
Okay. Mr. and Mrs. Riffle, now this is your opportunity to provide evidence to me. So that's your sworn testimony and anything else that you might want me to consider. Okay, so are you ready for that?
Yes,
Will you both be presenting to me today or just one of you?
might as well say both, just in case.
Okay. Okay. Then please both raise your right hand. Do you swear that the testimony that you are going to give today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
Thank you. Okay, why don't you go right ahead? You can choose which one of you wants to speak first, and please proceed.
Where do I start? I don't know, you start.
Well, that's tough. So the only thing I'm looking for is, it's just been, I'm not living here now. Only part-time, I have a place down for my health wise, I live down by, Lockwood. And so I'm not here full-time, so I don't have constant contact with people. But I've talked to these people over and over again, about, cleaning the place up, being paid sometimes, stuff like that. This doesn't seem to work. So, I do have a contract, written contract, if you want a copy of it, or you want a copy of it, or not. This is what we get together for the process. I don't know, I don't know what to do right now, I'm not using the land, and that she told me they was moving out. And I said, okay, she said, well, I'm done, and we're moving out, we're done, and we're finished, and I said, okay, wait. She said, I'll be at it on the first or on the fourth or the fifth, after the fifth. It's okay, so I just left it back.
So you don't stay out there on this property.
No, I have a house just above there, but I have a story next to it. But I also have a house in Lockwood. And that's where I stay most of the time until my health.
So, and maybe you said this already, I might have missed it. Who is living there?
My house?
Yeah, no, on this property.
At which property, sir?
Where Elizabeth and her husband live in?
Yes.
And her sister.
And her sister, and I don't know how many kids.
Okay.
There's no sanitation or no way. And it's been like for 2 years, there's been no sanitation. There's no water out there, there's no electricity, there's no nothing. So
But but are they living there full time?
Yes, they are. I've been, they go in and out of the camper when I go over there, so I know they're living in the campers and trailers and everything, so.
So they're living in that RV, they're living in that shed.
Yes.
Okay. And do they pay you rent?
It's on the land page, but I don't know if can you see this at all? Can you see this?
Contract.
Yes. Oh, you can't see it. Have a land
Mr.
contract.
Mr. Stento can send that to me after the hearing. So they've said to you, hey, we're gonna leave, we're gonna get out, we're gonna leave, but they're still there?
Yeah, well, she's paid up until the 5th of the month.
The
And
5th of
that's
March?
February, which is tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Yeah, okay. Okay. So you think you'll be able to get in there and clean it up and come into compliance?
I can get it in feet up anytime, but she said it's supposed to get out. And the other place was gonna go to or something. I don't know, I just said, hey, like, I've gotta get this cleaned up to the county. You're gonna get it all taken care of. You don't want no more. Just find it then, you move it out, okay. She can't
Okay.
meet your requirements or my requirements. So, there we are.
Okay,
It
I
states in
understand.
Right,
It states in the contract that they are to abide by all county and state regulations.
Mhm.
but yeah, it's part of the thing they signed.
Yeah. So that's pretty typical for a lease, that you require the tenant to comply, but ultimately the buck stops with the landlord. So
Yeah.
the person who owns the property ends up being on the hook. Then you can do what you want with your tenant, but the buck stops with the owner.
Right, oh, yeah, right, I understand that.
Okay.
Well, like I said, she's told me in a meeting, well,
She,
2 or 3 times.
she gave us, gave us notice on the 4th or 5th of January that they would be out the end of the month.
So,
All right, anything else that you want me to consider?
well, I just, as soon as they get out, that's joining with my other property. As soon as they get out, I'll take it back, over and everything out there, clean it up with beautiful land again. I'll have that done within 2 or 3 days. It's not a big deal.
Well, it sounds like Mr. Stento's willing to give you some more time and work with you, but just keep in mind, you've got that obligation even if your tenant doesn't move out. You know, you got to clean that up, or you've got to evict that person or do what you need to do. So it's you know, waiting for them to move out isn't an excuse for you in this issue.
You know, I see that.
Yeah.
I see that.
Yeah. So, okay, anything
Please.
else?
These fines that he mentioned, are they my fines or those fines for the tenants?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. What was that?
Fines that he mentioned, are those my fines or the fines for the tenants?
Those will be your fines.
Okay.
Those will be your fines as the landowner, and then, you know, you can do what you need to do with respect to your tenants, but the fines that we deal with today in this hearing are for you.
Okay.
Anything else, Mr. or Mrs. Riffle?
Asking for some extended time to get it cleaned up. We're trying to figure out some way to get it taken care of
And to get them evicted.
and to get them out. You know,
Yeah,
I don't know how to evict people, so I'll have to figure it out now.
yeah. Understood. Understood. Anything else?
That's what I know about.
Okay. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Mr. Stento, I think I have your case pretty well understood. Do you have any closing remarks, though?
Just a quick remark, Mr. Brown. If I may proceed.
Please.
So the county is sympathetic to difficulties finding and affording lawful housing in the county. We understand the economic situations many face. Situations like the one delineated in my testimony today do present significant impact to surrounding residences and the community at large. However, they diminish property values, they cause environmental hazards, and they present safety concerns for occupants and neighbors, especially where unlawful wastewater disposal is concerned. So we believe it's in the best interest of the community to consider the county's relief request and impose judgment pursuant to that.
Thank you, Mr. Stento. Mr. and Mrs. Riffle, any type of closing, any last comments you want me to consider?
No, we're just trying to do the right thing. We're trying to help people. We're trying to do the right thing, and here we are.
Yeah. I understand. I understand. Okay, Mr. Stento, please email me the relief request, Exhibit 7, and that document that Mr. Riffle wants me to take a look at. And I will then issue an order very quickly. So Mr. and Mrs. Riffle, I'll actually write up what I think needs to be done. That's my order. And so that's something that you'll need to comply with. Okay. And that will be a copy of that will be provided to you. So look for that in the next day or two. I'll try to do that as quickly as possible for you. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, thank you all for your testimonies. Nice to meet you, Mr. and Mrs. Riffle. And with that, we will close the hearing and go off the record.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. You have a good day.
We're out the record.
Yes.
Okay.